John Carter stood frozen as he read the message on the big screen. The blue light from the screen made his tired face look even older. For 20 years, he had been Earth's voice to the Galactic Council. He had seen many strange things from the alien races, but nothing like this. The Council, made up of the 7 strongest alien species in the galaxy, had just sent a final warning. Humans must give up their new, faster-than-light ships and stay in their own solar system. If they didn't obey, there would be serious punishment. "They can't do this to us," Susan Miller said softly. She was John's helper and old friend. Her hand squeezed the small computer she was holding so hard her knuckles turned white. "We've followed all their rules. We signed all their papers." John looked at her with sad eyes. "They're scared of us, Susan. How fast we learn new things scares them." He turned to face the room full of Earth's leaders sitting around the big table. The room was dead quiet. Everyone could feel how serious this moment was. "They've been watching us grow. Our faster-than-light drive works better than anything they have. They think if they don't stop us now, they'll never be able to control us later." Admiral Diane Garcia stood up. She was in charge of all Earth's fighting ships. Her uniform was perfect, but her face showed worry. "The Council ships are already moving around our solar system. They're blocking us in. Talking nice won't help us this time." The room burst into loud argument. Some wanted to fight back right away. Others wanted to beg for mercy. A few thought they should just give up the technology to keep the peace. "What about our colonies on Mars and Europa? What about our mining ships?" asked General Pete Wilson, his voice rough with anger. "There are thousands of our people outside Earth." "The Council doesn't care," John said. "They just want us contained." In a lab 20 floors below where the leaders argued, a young engineer named Steve Jackson was working on a small piece of complex equipment when the call came. Security officers in black uniforms appeared at his door. "Mr. Jackson, your presence is required in the command center. Immediately." Steve knew why they were calling him. His work had started all this trouble. For years, the greatest alien minds couldn't figure out how to make faster-than-light travel safe and reliable. The energy would always become unstable, making ships explode. But Steve had solved it with a simple idea that came to him while he was taking a shower. His quantum displacement drive worked perfectly, using half the energy of alien ships. When Steve entered the command center, all eyes turned to him. He wasn't used to such attention. Usually he just worked with his machines, not people. "Mr. Jackson," the president said, "please explain to everyone exactly what your technology can do that has the Council so worried." Steve cleared his throat. He wasn't good at public speaking, but he tried his best. "The quantum displacement drive doesn't just let us travel faster than light. It does it more efficiently, more safely, and—" He paused, knowing this was the part that really scared the aliens. "It can be made much smaller than the Council's technology. Their smallest FTL engines fill huge ships. Ours could eventually be small enough to fit in something the size of an old airplane." The room fell silent again as everyone understood what this meant. If humans could put faster-than-light engines on small ships, they could build thousands of them. The Council's control of space travel would end. "And they know all this?" John asked. "They must," Steve answered. "Their sensors would have detected how our drive works when we demonstrated it 3 months ago. We weren't hiding anything. We thought they'd be happy for us." Admiral Garcia tapped on her screen. "New message from the Council. They're giving us 7 Earth days to begin dismantling all FTL technology. They want to send inspectors to verify." The president stood up. She was a small woman, but her voice was strong. "This room is now under highest security protocols. Nothing we say leaves these walls." She looked at each person in turn. "The Council has shown their true face. They don't want partners. They want servants." "So what do we do?" Susan asked. "Fight them? Their ships have weapons we can't match." "No," the president said. "Not yet." She walked to the window and looked out at the blue sky. Somewhere up there, alien ships were watching. "We'll appear to comply. We'll dismantle the public drives. We'll welcome their inspectors." "And then?" John asked. The president turned back to the room. her eyes now hard with determination. And then we prepare. Mr. Jackson, how fast can you build more drives in secret? Can you make them smaller like you suggested? Steve thought for a moment. With enough resources and the right team, yes. We'd need hidden facilities off their scanning grid. You'll have everything you need, the president promised. Admiral Garcia, I want plans for both defense and possible offensive operations. Just in case. General Wilson, prepare evacuation protocols for our off-world people, but quietly. She looked around the room. The council thinks they've won. They think we'll just accept their limitations because we're afraid. They don't understand humans very well, do they? As the meeting ended, John Carter looked again at the council's message on the screen. 20 years of trying to make friends with these aliens, trying to earn their respect, all wasted. They've gone too far this time, he said to no one in particular. And someday soon, they'll regret it. As the council's deadline approached day by day, Earth made its plan. On the surface, they would bow their heads and follow orders. But deep below ground and hidden in the shadows of distant moons, humanity would prepare a response that would change their place in the galaxy forever. 6 months had passed since the council gave their order. On Earth, things looked normal. Council inspectors walked through labs and factories, watching humans take apart their faster-than-light engines. The aliens nodded with satisfaction as each piece was destroyed. But deep in space, hidden in the shadow of Saturn's giant rings, a small ship moved quietly. Its captain, Laura Reyes, kept her eyes fixed on the control panel. Any mistake could get them all killed. Steady now, she whispered to herself. Just a little further. Laura was special among human pilots. Before the council's ban, she had trained on alien ships. She knew how their tracking systems worked. She knew their blind spots. Now that knowledge was saving their lives. In the back of her ship sat 20 of Earth's best scientists and soldiers. They were cold, cramped, and scared, but also filled with purpose. For the last 6 days, they had hidden in a secret compartment while passing 3 council checkpoints. How much longer? Asked Dr. Ellis, an older man whose patience was wearing thin. 10 more minutes, Laura answered without taking her eyes off the controls. Everyone stay quiet. We're passing through their final sensor net now. The ship slipped between chunks of ice in Saturn's rings. The ice confused the alien sensors, making the small human ship look like just another piece of frozen debris. Commander Frank Ortiz sat in the corner, looking at a small photo. It showed a woman and 2 children smiling in front of an airlock door. The picture was taken at the Europa research station, where his family had been working when the council ships arrived. They're not prisoners, the council had explained. They're just under quarantine for their protection. Frank knew better. His family and 200 other humans were hostages to make sure Earth behaved. We'll get them back, said Nicole Bennett, sitting down beside him. She was their communications expert, carrying a special device that let them talk to Earth without the council knowing. That's why we're here, remember? Frank nodded and put the photo away. Any word from home? Nicole held up her small black box with its blinking green light. Just got an update. The council thinks everything is going as planned. Their observers report we're being very cooperative. Dr. Wilson gave another speech today about how humans should know their place. Frank made a face. I bet he enjoyed that. Nicole smiled. He's our best actor. Back on Earth, Dr. Alan Wilson stood on a stage in front of hundreds of people. Council observers sat in the front row, their strange faces impossible to read. Friends, neighbors, honored council representatives, Alan said, his voice calm and humble. We must accept the wisdom of the more advanced species. Humans are young. We are impulsive. The council is right to guide us away from technology we aren't ready for. The crowd clapped politely. The council observers nodded. What nobody knew was that the crowd was full of resistance members, and as Alan spoke, his words contained a secret code. Each seemingly innocent phrase told resistance leaders about council ship movements, inspection schedules, and security patterns. After his speech, Alan shook hands with a council member while passing a tiny data chip to a janitor who walked by. The chip contained the names of 50 brilliant scientists who needed to be smuggled off Earth to the secret bases. "Excellent speech, Dr. Wilson," said the council representative. "Your people are learning wisdom." "We try our best to understand our place in the galaxy," Alan replied with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Meanwhile, Laura's ship finally reached its destination, a hidden base on Titan, Saturn's largest moon. From the outside, it looked like a simple ice formation. Inside was a fully functioning research facility with 300 humans already at work. "Welcome to Titan Base Alpha," said the base commander, a woman named Rita Jones. She led the tired travelers through metal hallways carved into the moon's frozen surface. "We've been waiting for you." In the main lab, everyone gasped. Steve Jackson stood next to a table with 5 small metal boxes, each the size of a lunchbox. "Is that what I think it is?" Dr. Ellis asked, eyes wide. Steve nodded. "The quantum displacement drive, version 2. We've not only rebuilt it, we've made it smaller." He opened one box to show the complex machinery inside. "The council is looking for massive energy signatures from giant engines. They'll never detect these." Frank picked up one of the boxes, surprised by how light it was. "How many have you made?" 20 so far," Rita answered. "With your help, we'll make hundreds more." Nicole looked around the room. "And the council has no idea this place exists?" "None," Steve said with a small smile. "We built it 3 years ago, when we first contacted the council. The president back then didn't trust them completely. Turns out she was right. Throughout the solar system, humans were hard at work. On Mars, underground factories built small but powerful weapons. On hidden asteroids, pilots trained in simulators for ships that didn't officially exist. Behind Neptune, engineers constructed ships piece by piece, assembling them in the darkness where council patrols never went. And on Earth, council observers watched humans obediently dismantling their space technology, never suspecting the resistance growing all around them. "How long until we're ready?" Frank asked Steve as they walked through the Titan base. 3 more months, Steve replied. "Maybe 4. Then we can start taking back what's ours." "And saving those trapped on Europa?" Frank's voice was tense. Steve put a hand on his shoulder. "That's the first mission, my friend, I promise." Laura watched the new arrivals settle into their quarters. This was her 5th secret trip, bringing almost 100 brilliant minds to Titan. Each journey was a deadly risk. Each success was one step closer to freedom. "They think they've caged us," she said quietly. "They don't understand humans at all." 1 year had passed since the council took control of Earth's space travel. The alien ships that patrolled the solar system had fallen into lazy habits. Every day they flew the same routes at the same times. Every week they ran the same scans. Their captains were bored. Guarding humans was an easy job. "Status report," demanded the captain of the council ship Guardian 7 as it passed Neptune's orbit. "All quiet, sir," replied his sensor officer. "No unusual activity. Scheduled maintenance of the long-range sensors will begin in 20 minutes. "Very good. I'll be in my quarters." What the captain didn't know was that humans had been watching his ship for months. They knew exactly when Guardian 7 turned off its sensors for maintenance. Hidden behind a small moon, 6 human ships waited in darkness. They were small, barely bigger than old Earth fighter jets, but each carried one of Steve Jackson's miniature faster-than-light drives. "Guardian 7 is right on schedule," reported Greg Taylor, the pilot of the lead ship called Firefly. "Their sensors will be down in 20 minutes. Captain Melissa Howard nodded. She was young for such an important mission, only 32 years old, but she had trained harder than anyone. All ships confirm ready status. One by one, the other 5 ships sent their signals. Everyone was prepared. Everyone knew what was at stake. "Remember the plan," Melissa said to her small crew. "This isn't about starting a war. This is about showing the council they can't keep us caged. We hit one target, we make our point, and we come home." Their target was Tyrannus, a planet where the Zethral, the most warlike species on the council, built their warships. Intelligence from before the council's ban had revealed that Tyrannus had minimal defenses. The Zethral never expected anyone would dare attack them. Guardian 7 sensors are now offline, Greg reported, his voice tight with tension. We have 18 minutes until they come back online. Melissa took a deep breath. All ships, prepare for quantum jump on my mark. She looked at the small device that Steve Jackson had given her. It was their secret weapon, designed to do more damage than bombs or lasers ever could. 3, 2, 1. Mark. The stars blurred around them as the 6 ships vanished from the solar system. For one terrifying moment, Melissa felt like her body was being pulled in all directions. Then suddenly they were there, orbiting a blue-green planet with 3 moons and hundreds of ships under construction. We made it, Greg shouted, then quickly lowered his voice. I mean quantum jump successful, Captain. All ships accounted for, reported Lisa Chen, the communications officer. No alarms detected from the planet. Melissa smiled. Begin Phase 2. On Earth, the Council observers were having a busy day. 3 factory accidents had happened at the same time in different cities. Power outages affected their communication systems, and strangely, their ships reported unusual solar flare activity that interfered with long-range scans. None of these problems were accidents. The Resistance had planned everything to keep the Council distracted. Around Tyrannus, the 6 human ships deployed hundreds of tiny drones, each no bigger than a baseball. The drones fell toward the planet like raindrops, too small to trigger defense systems. First wave of drones has reached the shipyards, Lisa reported, beginning infiltration now. These weren't ordinary drones. Steve Jackson had designed them, with one purpose: to infiltrate the Zethral computers and change tiny parts of their ship designs. A navigation system that would fail when needed, weapons that would lose power in battle, engines that would use too much fuel. Second wave deployed, Melissa announced, targeting their defense network. The mission was going perfectly until an alarm suddenly blared through their ship. Patrol ship coming around the moon, Greg shouted. They've seen us, Melissa stayed calm. All ships continue the mission. We need 5 more minutes for the drones to finish their work. The Zethral patrol ship was huge, 10 times the size of the human vessels. It fired a warning shot that passed just above Firefly. They're ordering us to surrender, Lisa translated from the alien transmission. Ignore them, Melissa ordered. How many drones left to deploy? 23, replied Sam Wilson, the drone operator. 3 more minutes. The Zethral ship fired again, this time hitting one of the human vessels. The small ship spun out of control, its hull breached. Rescue team to Blackhawk now. Melissa commanded. Greg, keep us between that patrol ship and our damaged vessel. As Firefly moved to protect the wounded ship, Melissa made a hard decision. Launch the last package. Sam looked up in surprise. But sir, that's our emergency weapon. We were told to use it only if— I know what our orders are, Melissa cut him off. But I won't lose a ship. Do it now. The emergency weapon was a special drone designed by Dr. Karen Price, Earth's expert on alien biology. Unlike the other drones, this one carried a modified human virus. It wouldn't kill the Zethral, but it would make them very sick for several days. Enough time for the human ships to escape. Package away, Sam confirmed. Impact with their ship in 10 seconds. The drone hit the Zethral ship and released its invisible payload into their air system. Within minutes, the alien ship's attacks became sloppy, then stopped entirely. All drones deployed, Sam reported finally. Mission complete. All ships prepare for return jump, Melissa ordered. Rescue team, status? Blackhawk crew secured. Captain, 3 injured but everyone's alive. The stars blurred again as the human ships jumped back to their own solar system, arriving just as Guardian 7 sensors came back online. The human ships quickly hid behind the moon again, their engines cold and silent. The entire mission had taken 17 minutes. 3 days later, every Council species received the same message, sent through their own communication channels. The restrictions on humanity were unjust and unprovoked. This was our response to just one Council member. Consider your next actions carefully. On Tyrannus, chaos erupted as the Zethral discovered that their newest warships failed every safety test. Their defense grid showed mysterious gaps, and hundreds of their soldiers were sick with an illness their doctors couldn't cure. Back on Titan Base Alpha, Dr. Karen Price studied the data from the mission. The biological samples they'd collected from the Zethral ship revealed something incredible. All Council species share the same genetic weakness, she told Steve Jackson as they looked at test results. It's like they were all created from the same template. Steve understood immediately what this meant. So if we needed to, we could create something that affects all of them at once? Karen nodded slowly. Yes. Let's hope we never need to use it. The Grand Council chamber was the most impressive room in the galaxy. Its ceiling was so high you couldn't see it. Its walls glowed with soft purple light. In the center, 7 massive chairs formed a circle, one for each of the ruling species. Today, those 7 chairs were filled with angry aliens. They had called an emergency meeting after the attack on Tyrannus. Security was tighter than ever before. Armed guards stood at every door. "How dare these humans attack us?" shouted the Zethral representative, his voice booming through the chamber. His skin was dark green and covered in scales. His forearms pounded the table in front of him. "We must crush them immediately." "The situation requires careful thought," said the Mercalli representative, a tall blue creature with 6 eyes. "The humans have shown they can strike beyond their solar system despite our blockade." "Impossible," the Zethral shouted. "They surrendered their faster-than-light technology. Our inspectors watched them destroy it." Just then the chamber doors opened. Everyone turned to look. Standing in the doorway was Ambassador John Carter from Earth. He was calm and dressed in a simple black suit. "What is the meaning of this?" demanded the head of the council, an ancient being called the High Monitor. "Humans were not invited to this session." John walked forward slowly, his footsteps echoing in the suddenly quiet room. "I apologize for arriving without an invitation," he said politely. "But since you're discussing my species, I thought you might want to hear our side." The council members were too shocked to speak. Humans had been kept away from council meetings since the restrictions began. And even more shocking was how John had arrived. On a human ship, using the very technology they had supposedly given up. "Guards," the Zethral finally shouted. "Arrest this human." John didn't look worried, as guards moved toward him. "Before you do that," he said loudly, "you should know that similar teams to the one that visited Tyrannus have been to many other important places throughout council space." The guard stopped. The council members stared. "What do you mean?" asked the High Monitor. John took a small device from his pocket and placed it on the floor. It projected a large map of the galaxy with dozens of blinking red dots. "Each dot shows where human teams have visited," John explained calmly. "Military bases, power stations, communication centers. We didn't activate our measures at Tyrannus because we want peace. But we are ready if you choose war." The council chamber erupted in shouting and threats. Some members demanded immediate military action against Earth. Others wanted to negotiate. The Zethral representative was the loudest, promising terrible revenge for the shipyard attack. John waited patiently until the noise died down. "There's more," he said. "We've sent the designs for our faster-than-light technology to every smaller species that the Council has restricted, just as you restricted us." This news hit the Council like a bomb. For centuries, they had kept the smaller species under control by limiting their technology. Now that control was slipping away, reports began coming in from across the galaxy. Ships from smaller species were appearing in restricted areas. Planets that had been quiet for generations were suddenly demanding their freedom. In a small room next to the main chamber, Linda West prepared for her part in the plan. She was Earth's best negotiator, trained to read alien body language and find compromise when none seemed possible. "They'll never agree to our terms," her assistant Roy Mitchell whispered as they watched the chaos on a screen. "Look at them. They're too angry." Linda smiled. "They're not angry, Roy. They're scared. And scared people will agree to almost anything to feel safe again." When Linda entered the chamber an hour later, the council had calmed down enough to listen. She carried a datapad with Earth's demands, an end to all technology restrictions, representation for all spacefaring species, and immediate release of humans being held on Europa. "These terms are outrageous," the Zethral shouted when she finished speaking. Linda looked directly at him. "2 hours ago, your medical teams reported that the mysterious illness affecting your soldiers has spread to your capital city. We can provide the cure." She turned to face the other council members. "We don't want enemies. We want partners. But we will never accept being caged again." The High Monitor studied her carefully. "And if we refuse your terms?" "Then we activate what we left behind on our visits," John Carter said simply. "And we share more technology with the species you've been controlling." The chamber fell silent. "Give. Just time to discuss," the High Monitor finally said. As John and Linda left the chamber, Linda whispered, "Do you think they know we're bluffing about activating weapons?" John smiled slightly. "The best part is, we're not bluffing. Steve and the team really did plant shutdown devices in all those locations. We just don't want to use them unless we absolutely have to." For 3 days, the council debated. Earth's representatives waited patiently in guest quarters that felt more like a prison. On the 4th morning, they were called back to the chamber. The High Monitor spoke gravely. "We have considered Earth's demands. We cannot accept them as presented." He paused as John and Linda exchanged worried looks. "However, we propose a compromise." The compromise wasn't perfect. The council agreed to end technology restrictions and free the humans on Europa. But instead of giving all species equal votes, they proposed a new 2-level council. The original 7 members would remain as senior partners, while 12 seats would be added for other species, including humans. "It's not everything we wanted," Linda told John quietly, "but it's a start." John nodded. "We can work with this. The important thing is getting our people free and ending the technology bans." As Earth's representatives prepared to leave with the signed agreement, the Zethral representative approached them. His scales were pale, a sign of illness from the virus. "You humans think you've won," he hissed quietly. "But some of us have long memories. Some of us do not forgive." Linda smiled at him. "We don't need your forgiveness, we just need your compliance. Feel better soon." On the journey back to Earth, John looked at the stars passing by their ship. "Phase 1 complete," he said. "Now comes the hard part." "What's that?" Linda asked. "Learning to live together as equals," John replied. "After centuries of being the only powers in the galaxy, the council species won't adjust easily. There will be resistance, maybe even violence. Then we'll be ready," Linda said firmly. "Humanity has shown what it can do. I don't think they'll want to test us again anytime soon." 3 years had passed since the day humans stood up to the council. Today, a beautiful space station hung in orbit around Earth. It was shaped like a giant wheel, with glass windows that sparkled in the sunlight. This was the home of the new Galactic Concordat, which had replaced the old council. Inside the main meeting hall, representatives from 27 different alien species gathered. Some had tentacles, some had wings, some had 6 eyes or 3 arms or skin that changed colors, and among them were humans, standing as equals. President Patricia Winters walked to the center of the room. She was older now, her hair gray at the temples, but her eyes were bright with pride. "Today is not just a good day for humans," she said, her voice carrying through the large room. "It is a good day for all of us. We are not here to celebrate one species winning over others. We are here to celebrate working together instead of ruling over each other." The crowd clapped and cheered. Even some of the old council species joined in. It had not been an easy 3 years. The Zethral had tried to attack Earth at first, sending their biggest warships to punish the humans. But when they tried to fire their weapons, nothing happened. The sabotage drones had done their work well. "The age of fear is over," President Winters continued. "Now begins the age of cooperation." After the ceremony, Daniel Hughes walked through the station with a group of alien scientists. Daniel had been just a student when the Council first restricted humanity. Now he was in charge of the Concordate's Science Division. "We're ready to start the first joint mission," he told his team. 5 ships from 5 different species, working together to explore beyond our galaxy. One of the aliens, a small purple being with 4 arms, looked worried. "Do you think we'll find more life out there?" Daniel smiled. "I hope so. And when we do, we'll remember the lessons we've learned here." Around Jupiter, a new academy trained crews for the explorer ships. Here, young people from all species learned to work together. Many found it strange at first. Different species had different needs, different foods, different sleeping habits. But they were figuring it out day by day. Steve Jackson worked at the academy now. His quantum displacement drive had been improved even further by combining human ideas with alien science. The new ships could travel faster and safer than anything before. "Look at that," Steve said to Laura Reyes as they watched from a window. Ships of all shapes and sizes flew in formation, practicing for their missions. Laura nodded. She was an admiral now, in charge of Earth's defense fleet. Hard to believe 3 years ago we were smuggling scientists past their blockade. Next, to her stood Commander Frank Ortiz, reunited with his family after the Council finally released the people from Europa. His children had grown taller, but they still recognized their father when he came to bring them home. "Do you think they'll ever try to control us again?" Frank asked. Laura shook her head. "They've learned what happens when you try to cage humans. Besides, we're not the same people they tried to control. We're part of something bigger now." From the window they could see Earth shining blue and green in the distance. Around it, ships from a dozen worlds moved like busy bees, bringing visitors and traders and students. "The Council went too far," Steve said quietly. But in the end, maybe that was what the galaxy needed, a push to change. Frank looked at his friends and smiled. "Well, the next time someone tries to tell humans what we can and can't do, they'll think twice," Laura finished with a laugh. As the 3 friends watched the stars, new ships prepared for their first jumps to distant places no one had ever seen. The galaxy had changed forever, and humanity had helped make it happen. The Council had indeed gone too far. But humanity's answer hadn't just been about fighting back. It had been about building something better for everyone.